Reginald had been making successful runs on the Redwick Flyer for the past 6 months, and he was truly coming into his stride. The young engine had proven to be a fast and eager learner, keen to take the advice from all his different peers so that he could become the engine the others saw in him. Clint, Thor, and Darius in particular frequently mentored the young engine whenever time allowed them to, quite impressed at his eagerness to learn and improve. There was, however, one small problem that had begun to rear its head. Reginald had begun to develop some teething troubles. It had started on the night Hercules first arrived to the railway, where he had felt a slight pain on his motion as he departed from Maidenhead. This pain had only worsened as time went on. Soon enough, it got so bad that he had to be sent to the works for a check, much to his dismay, as he argued that he was newly built. But Mr. Start wouldn't have it. After having his motion looked at on the off day of the flyer, the men at the works could find nothing amiss, putting it down to Reginald still needing to be run in. Mr. Start was still concerned, but with no evidence of any faults. All he could do was send Reginald back into service the next day.
Are you sure you're alright?
Yes, Riley, I promise you, I'm completely fine.
The groans of pain you sometimes make after you come back from London says otherwise.
The lads at the works have assured me that I'm fine. They say it might just be that some of my parts are taking longer to run in.
If you say so, mate.
Just promise you'll be careful, mate. We don't want any mishaps, especially at the speeds that you run at out there.
Of course, I'm always careful. Anyways, what's the latest from around the line then? I hear there's been some progress on the line Mr. Start is building?
Yes, indeed. Apparently they broke through the ground near the valley earlier today. Isn't that right, Rab?
Get fucked, I'm trying to sleep here.
Talkative as always.
As you do. Anyways, other than that, and the fact that Mr. Stard finally pulled the trigger on buying Seb due to the increasing workload on the Eastwood branch, it's been pretty quiet around here.
I see. And, what about the other thing?
Other thing?
You know, the whole thing you have going on against Hart and the others.
Reggie, come on now.
Look, I know Mr. Stard said I was too young, but I'm like 6 months older now. Surely I've matured enough to at least know what's going on.
The problem isn't your maturity, Reggie. You've always been very mature, even when you first got here and got belittled by Richard and Hart.
The reason we haven't dobbed you in yet is because it's a lot of responsibility, especially for someone so young. You haven't had the chance to be under a lot of pressure with how newly built you are.
But how am I ever going to learn how to work under pressure if I never get the chance to? I hold a flyer almost every day and I basically have a perfect handle on that. Look, after all the crap those other engines put me through, simply for being privately owned by Mr. Stard, I should be allowed to at least help.
Reggie, one day maybe, but now is not the time. You have a long life ahead of you. You will have plenty of opportunities to show your worth, but it's too soon now.
But The 3 engines were interrupted by the sound of an engine approaching.
Look, we'll talk about this later.
Fine. Talk about what? The engines looked up to see Banbury reversing into the sheds. Drax put on a smile and greeted him.
Good evening, Banbury. How was the main line?
Oh, you know, the same old hustle and bustle as always. Now then, what were you gents talking about when I came in? I hope I didn't interrupt anything.
Oh, of course not. Just explaining some things to young Reginald here.
Yes, he wishes to take on more responsibility here. We argued he's still a bit too young to start splitting his attention to multiple jobs a day.
Yes, and not only that, but you run an express service to the capital almost every day, and that will wear on you, which is why your days off are for maintenance. Very important. I guess so. I admire your willingness to learn and help out. Never let anyone take that from you. But you have to be patient. You're already a big credit to this quaint little railway. I'm sure Mr. Stard will let you do some other work in the future as well. But for now, you're needed on the flyer. And what a cracking job you're doing with that. Thank you, Banbury. I appreciate that a lot. Reginald was a bit miffed with having to be dragged into lying to Banbury. He held a great deal of respect for the castle, and didn't like being dishonest with him. But he knew he had to do it, especially if he wanted to prove he could be trustworthy to the others. The engines kept up a high-spirited conversation, and soon enough, the engines began to fall asleep. Though still a bit miffed about the evening's events, Reginald tried to brush it off, and instead looked forward to getting his mind off things with a nice long run to London. The days went on, and everything seemed to be back to normal. Work was busier than ever, the industrial estate was at full capacity, The engines bickered to no end, and Reginald was performing optimally. At least that's what it looked like on the outside. In reality, however, the pain in his motion had been getting a lot more frequent as of late, and a new form of discomfort had begun developing itself in his right cylinder. However, despite all of this, he hadn't told anyone about his ever-expanding issues. He believed that he just needed to run his parts in further, just as the workman had said. He instead decided to work harder to run them in quicker, truly showing his stubbornness and young age. The other engines began to take notice of this, however, and one night, Axel, Levi, and Darius decided to confront the Big Pacific to try and find out what was really going on. The sheds were mostly empty, except for a resting Rab and Anthony Manor, who seemed to not be in a talkative mood.
So Reggie, how was your run today?
It was fine, thank you. Same as always, really.
Well, not exactly the same. You blasted through Manifel at least 15 minutes before you were supposed to.
Oh, really? I did? Yeah, and according to the staff, you've been at least 7 minutes early every day this week. Oh, well, isn't that good?
Well, yes, but also no. You always want to try and follow the timetable as closely as possible to avoid being held at a red signal, or delay somebody else.
Yeah, like how I was delayed today by having to wait for you at Manifel instead of Colford like I usually do. I was able to make up lost time, of course, but others may not be able to, so keep that in mind for the future.
I see. My mistake.
Are you alright, mate? We've been noticing that you've been a bit absent-minded as of late.
And from what I've been able to see, you seem to be pushing yourself more than you need to. You handle the flyer just fine when you run normally. Well, yes, I guess there has been a few things, but...
But? You can talk to us, Reginald. We're here for you.
Fine. The reason why I've been pushing myself as of late is because my parts still haven't been properly run in yet, and I'm trying to run them in faster so I can get rid of the pain I feel when I run. But if anything, it's only gotten worse.
It's gotten worse? And you haven't informed Mr. Stard yet?
Well, no. Him and I were both told by the man at the works that I'm in perfect mechanical condition, so I didn't see the need to. Well, it may be so, but the workers here aren't really that well equipped to do a full inspection. You might need to go to Swindon, or even Alfredston for that. That would be a lot of travelling. Plus, who would take the flyer in my place? Well, something would have to be arranged, but this is serious stuff, Reggie, if you insist. Look, I have 2 more days before my next day off. I'll work as per normal till then, and I promise I will inform Mr. Stard about my increasing pain on my day off.
Only if you're sure you'll be fine until then.
I will, don't worry. It's only 4 more trips, nothing to worry about. The 4 engines kept talking for another few hours about anything and everything. Though Levi, Axel, and Darius were still a bit worried about Reginald's worsening condition, there was nothing they could do other than hope he would be alright. At some point, Anthony Manor had departed to take his last train of the evening. He had overheard the entire conversation between the others, and a few key things had piqued his curiosity. As he departed from Redwick, he was deep in thought. Later that night, Anthony Manor approached an area he'd become all too familiar with. Standing there waiting for him was the man he had the unfortunate pleasure of working with. He had an angry look on his face as Anthony Manor came to a stop in front of him. Well, why have you summoned me out here this late in the evening?
Because believe it or not, I actually perform the tasks I've been given. And last I checked, you and your little puppet masters wanted me to find some more damning evidence you could use against Stard.
Alright, that's quite enough of the sassiness. What have you got for me?
Well, you know the cathedral he's had built?
Ah yes, the Vanity Project. What about it?
Well, I overheard him and the others talking about how he's been suffering from what I assume is teething troubles.
Is that right? Interesting.
If I were you, I'd demand that engine be taken out of service as quickly as possible, and demand that Stard gives him a proper look over in his works. That way, you won't have to pay him to use his engine for a while, and it gives an excuse to put me, Forson, and Richard back on the flyer. There's no telling how long it would take them to find whatever's causing him pain.
You raise a valid point, 7801. I will have to have a word with the bosses to see how we approach the situation. Now, about the county snooping around that 6027 told me about. Has it been sorted?
Yes. I told you I would handle it.
You did indeed, 7801. You have done well. This time.
Right. This time. You know, sometimes I wonder what your reputation would look like if I didn't tell you about all these sabotage attempts him and his cronies had lined up for you. I imagine it wouldn't be pretty.
Yes, of course. But that's what you've been assigned to do. And as a British Railways owned machine, you will do as you're told without the expectation of gratitude for every small thing you do.
Whatever. Would the oh-so-gracious British Railways employee allow a humble machine like myself to go back to the sheds before someone gets suspicious? Would hate for you to get caught out after I managed to deflect suspicion off us.
Don't act all sassy with me, 7801. But yes, go back to your sheds. I have other business to attend to. The next day went on without any major change. Reginald had once again taken the Redwick Flyer to London, much to the dismay of Anthony Manor, who had hoped the board would step in as soon as possible to minimize the risk of a failure. Though he held a great deal of disdain towards Mr. Starr, he didn't want to see Reginald suffer a painful failure simply because of who he was owned by. Thankfully, Reginald made it back home safe and sound, and though you could tell by the look on his smoke box that he was feeling a bit off, everything seemed to be fine. The next morning went just the same as the last. Redwick was put on the flyer and ran to Paddington without incident. On his return, however, Reginald had been stopped at Maidenhead due to a signal failure further up the line, and after standing still for almost 10 minutes, the young engine was starting to get impatient. How come on? How long can it take to sort a few signals out?
It depends on how big the fault is, Reggie. Could be an hour till we get moving.
An hour? We're already late enough as it is.
It's not our fault that there's maintenance ahead. Be patient. We'll be on our way soon enough. Then we can try to make back some time.
Just then, the station master came walking up as the signal turned green.
I've received word from up the line that the error has been resolved. You're clear to proceed.
Thank you, sir, and have a good evening. See, old boy, I told you we would get moving soon.
I guess so. Now we just need to make up for lost time.
Aye, do you think you'll be able to do it?
Of course I can. It will be as if we never stopped. Reginald surged with all his might towards Redwick. Even through the pain he felt, he had made back an incredible 5 minutes before he had reached Manifel. He slowed as he crossed onto Redwick Metals, then proceeded to speed up again as fast as possible. He made it to Colford in record time, and charged in preparation for the climb ahead. But then... everything went dark for Reginald, and when he came to, his driver, his fireman, and a few other workers from the nearby sheds were looking him all over. His right cylinder was leaking steam, and he felt lighter than he had before. But the pain was worse than anything he had ever felt. He looked over to his driver and winced in pain as he spoke. What happened?
Oh, thank God you're back. You had me so worried there.
Why we stopped? We're going to be late.
Be late? Reggie, you've burst a cylinder and shredded your motion. You aren't going anywhere under your own power anytime soon.
Reggie, are you alright? Reginald looked over to his right to see Bucklebury Grange approach him. He had a look of concern all over his smokebox. I guess I've been better? What the hell happened? Me and Riley were near the sheds when we heard what sounded like a bomb detonating near Colford. We thought the war had started up again until we saw you coming to a stop. Apparently my cylinder's blown and my inside motion is... gone. Gone? But... what? How? You're brand new! I don't know. But I guess that's what's been causing all the pain I've been feeling for the past few months. Whoa! Hold up. You've been traveling to London for almost every day while in pain? Why didn't you tell anyone? Mr. Stodd had me looked at a few weeks ago, and the men at the works found nothing wrong with me. They told us I was probably still needing to be run in. I guess they were wrong. Oh, you poor lad. Come on, let's get you to a shed road so they can have a proper look at you. Hey, you lot, is it safe to move him yet? After having made sure that Reginald could be moved without the risk of further damage, Buck gently buffered up to him and carefully took him to the sheds, where a just as worried-looking Riley was waiting for them. He had been trying to get through to Buck before the incident, but now his full attention was on the crestfallen Pacific.
Jesus Christ, Reggie. You gonna be alright?
I hope so. I don't feel like I will. None of that kind of talk, Reginald. You'll be back to running the flyer in no time.
What the hell even happened?
Buck quickly explained to Riley what Reginald had told him, and when he had finished, Riley had an annoyed but concerned look on his smokebox.
We told you to speak to Mr. Stodd if the problem persisted. We didn't say that just for fun, you know.
I realize that now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't listen to your advice. I just didn't want to let anyone down. Let anyone down? Reginald, you've been nothing but a hard worker and a dedicated learner since you got here. No one on this entire line who actually took the time to get to know you will ever deny that.
Yeah, and besides, taking the time to take care of yourself is important. If you can't care for yourself, then how can you expect to be able to care for your passengers?
I get that now. I just wish I had a bit sooner. It's going to be alright, mate. Just keep it in mind for the future, alright? Just then, the guard of the train came running up to the engines.
Alright, you lot. That's enough chatter. I just got off the phone with Mr. Stodd. 6803-5767, you are both to take the train on to Redwick.
Wait,
what?
No time to argue. We can't get a replacement here without further delays. 6803, you're up front. 5767, you'll provide banking support.
But I mean, me, on a passenger, I can't. Buck, please. These people need to get home. Alright. I guess I have no choice.
Don't worry, Buck. I'll be with you the entire time. Someone should come along soon to take you to the works, Reginald. I wish you the best of luck.
Likewise to you. Buck took a deep breath as he moved forwards towards the coaches. He could feel his nerves settling in the closer he got, but he couldn't falter. Not now. Not when Reggie needed him. He backed carefully onto the waiting coaches and was quickly coupled up, before being instructed to move forwards to allow Riley to couple up to the rear coach.
Alright, I'm ready when you are.
As ready as I'll ever be. Riley whistled as Buck reluctantly started to pull the heavy train towards the tunnel. Due to the delay, they didn't have the time to pull back for a proper run-up, so they would have to make the best of the distance they had ahead. Struggling out of the tunnel, the two gave their final push before the big climb ahead. They quickly lost their momentum, however, and slowed to a crawl before reaching the halfway point. But the two engines were determined not to give up as they worked with all their might to keep moving. And slowly but surely, they made it to the crest of the hill and began picking up their pace as they neared Eastwood. They thundered past Virgil, who stared in surprise, but gave the two an encouraging whistle as they moved past. The downhill gave them exactly what they needed for the rest of the journey, but Riley could tell Buck wasn't giving it all. And soon enough, the unlikely duo made it into Redwick platform, where a worried-looking Mr. Starr stood waiting. He was relieved to see that the two had been able to make it without the need of further assistance. But that relief quickly faded when he saw the state Buck was in as he came to a stop. His eyes were shut tightly, there were streaks of tears running down his smoke box, and he was incoherently mumbling to himself.
No, not again. Not again. You can do this. You can do this.
Buck, are you alright?
Come on. Not again. Not again. Never again.
Buck, come on.
No,
Snap out of it. You're alright.
Never again.
Buck.
Never.
Buckley! Where am I? What happened? Please don't tell me. I didn't. No. Whoa. Buck. Hey, look at me. You're alright. You and Riley made it safe. What? I did. Hey, easy, Buck. It's okay. You're fine. And you did well. Right. Jesus, I had no idea this is why you refused to do passenger work. But I really had no other choice this time, Buck. Look, I'm really sorry I have to do this to you, but I can't stay and talk for long. I've got about 6 news reporters and an angry board of directors to converse with, but I just had to ensure that you made it here safely. I understand. Good. We'll talk about this once this clusterfuck gets sorted out. Now go rest up in the sheds. You've earned it after this. Okay, sir. I will. Mr. Starr looked after Buck as he shakily made his way out of the station. He felt bad for not being able to tend to him properly, but as much as he hated to say it, more pressing matters were awaiting him just outside the station limits. He sighed as he walked towards where the reporters were waiting to pepper him with questions. He only hoped Buck could hold out till morning, when he would finally have the time to have a much-needed talk with him. By the time Buck had shunted the coaches away and wearily made his way back to the sheds, Riley had informed the engines in the packed sheds what had transpired on the Refuge Flyer and why he and Buck had been forced to take it on.
Buck slumped into the sheds, and much to his dismay, his usual spot was taken, meaning he had no choice but to stay between Hart and Axel.
Well, well, well. Look who the shunter dragged in.
Not tonight, Hart. I'm not in the mood. Are you alright, Buck? You don't look too well.
Oh no, you don't.
Buck froze in his tracks.
Drax, I'm not sure now is the best.
No, Riley, now is the best time. Buck, you've been ignoring all of us on most days, and when we finally get through to you, you snap at us.
While I don't agree with Drax's approach, this is something that's been on our minds for a while, Buck. Yes, we've been quite worried, mate. This doesn't seem like the old happy-go-lucky engine you are. Buck was visibly shaking at this point, but the others continued.
And it really hasn't been pleasant trying to be nice to you and help you when all you do is shut us down.
Then why even bother? It's not like you're going to get anywhere with him. He's a waste of steel.
He's a danger to the lot of us so long as he is kept in service.
Come on now, you two, I wouldn't go that far. His track record has been fine ever since me and Axel arrived.
Well, bar the incident with him, Seb, Riley and Clark that one time.
My point exactly. You two haven't been here long enough to see his true colours, but it's only a matter of time. Mark my words.
Well, if the stories are anything to go by, then I guess I can sort of see your point.
But that still doesn't explain why you all of a sudden changed so drastically.
Exactly. So then, Buck, out with it. What's gotten into you as of late?
Shut up.
I can't hear you.
Come on, Buck. We're all ears.
Get on with it already.
Yeah, man, you'll feel a lot better once you...
Just shut the fuck up! All of you! I don't care what any of you want, just leave me the fuck alone!
Whoa, we're just trying to help.
I don't care! You can all fuck off for all I care! Just leave me be! Buck, what's gotten into you? We're your friends. We're here for— Like fuck you are! Everything was fine! Then those two arrived! Buck looked angrily at Axel and Levi.
Wait, what? Us?
What the hell did we do?
Don't bullshit me! You know exactly what you did! Not Levi, you!
What?
That was uncalled for, Buck.
We get you're not having a good time right now, but taking it out on others is not the way to go about it.
Yeah, man. What the hell?
And once again, he shows his true colours.
Of course you try to push the blame onto others.
Of course. Everyone against me. History repeats itself once more.
The way I see it, almost everyone here was only trying to help you until you decided to switch the blame onto someone who hasn't even done anything to you since he arrived.
You know what? Fuck this. I'm done. Oh no you don't. We are going to sit here all night if we need to. This is getting resolved whether you like it or not.
We want you to get better, Buck. We really do. But you have to put in some effort yourself in order to get better.
You can all stay up as long as you would like. I'm not doing this again. Come on, Buck.
We're not done yet.
It's no use, guys.
Well, that was certainly something.
Tell me about it.
I'm surprised. I've never seen him snap like this before. It was worse than when he snapped at Hart over a year ago.
And just like that time, it was very uncalled for.
That's debatable.
Are you alright, Axel?
Yeah, mate. Are you alright?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm still trying to figure out what I did wrong. I haven't said anything bad to him by accident, have I?
Nothing that comes to mind, mate.
Honestly, I believe he's just trying to push the problems he's having onto someone else, so he doesn't have to face it himself.
I just wish he would tell us what was wrong.
He's a lost cause if you ask me.
Well, you might think so, but I'm not giving up on him yet.
We'll speak to Mr. Starr about it tomorrow.
If he's not too busy with everything that's already happened today.
Yeah, poor Reginald. I wonder what's going to happen to him.
The conversation slowly died down, and one after another, the engines fell into an uneasy sleep. Buck's outburst had left its mark on all the engines who cared for him. All they could hope for was that Mr. Starr would help resolve this issue, one way or another.